I'm not, right, I take the thing, but if you want to review how I did this, right, so payment, and then total lease would be the down, and the down payment never gets taxed. I can do this, hey, mental math, hey? There you go. 4,000 and 15,000 is 19,523 and 20 cents. So I would give you 2 marks there. 1 mark for the correct final answer, and obviously 1 mark for the work that you're showing to get there. Now, I can see that this happened. I'm just imagining what could have happened here. You took this 431 and you plugged it in here, times it by 1.12 again, so now you're double taxing, right? So obviously your answer would be different. I would say you only get 1 mark there because of the double taxing, because you should have understood that this is already including taxes, meaning that you don't have to add again. So if you use the 431 here instead of the 385, I'm still going to give you 1 mark for correct follow-through work after. Okay? Yep. So you're showing me the correct work, just the wrong final answer. Do you show a step in between, or is it just this and then final answer? Yeah. You got this different. So you're showing that this is different, but this is correct. I would take off half for today, only half, because I can understand that you probably typed it in wrong, but you know what you're doing. Yeah. If I see evidence that you know what you're doing and it was just like a transfer error, you forgot a 0, something like that, I'm okay with that. C, the total residual value including tax. So residual value, if I want it after taxes, you just need to multiply by 1.12 at the end. So I take what the value of the car is at the beginning, right? And I'm told that it's going to be the guaranteed residual value, right? When you see that, it's 65% of the sales price. So you need to multiply that by 0.65 to get 65% of the original. And then that answer needs to be multiplied by 1.12. Let me just get this up here. Right, so it's basically a chain like that. Final answer, 35,850, 75 times 0.65 times 1.12. Because they want you to include taxes, if they had said before taxes, you just omit the 1.12 step. Okay, so this is 26,099.35, because that 6 bumps the 4 to a 5. Okay. So again, if you didn't do the rounding correctly, you would take off half a mark. If you're missing a dollar sign on your final answer, you lose half there as well. We're only going to do that once for the whole AC, just 1/2 mark deduction for missing your units. I think you will get it after that. I want to know, do you know how to do the rest, right? And D is the total cost of the vehicle, including the lease, if it is purchased outright at the end of the lease. So that is basically just saying, take the total lease and the cost of purchasing and just add them all up, combine them, right? So this will be just 19,523.20 plus 26,099.35, and I get 45,622.55, and that's just a 1 marker. So if you got B and C wrong, but you adding those 2 numbers in D, you get the full mark. That's how I mark, and that's how we're trained to mark, okay? When the provincial exam was still a thing, they got rid of it in grade 12. I don't know if you know about that. The provincial, still an exam, but we make it. They trained us every single exam. We first had to go in for a full day of training. So I basically, I'm sticking with that because that's the standard way of marking, okay? So that's one mark. So question 1 is worth 6. So give yourselves a mark out of 6 for question 1. So that's done with, right? And so question 2. What happened to your highlighting solution? You didn't highlight anything. I know, guilty, right? Here's a new car, or new at a dealership. So even if I hadn't told you that it's a new car, it's at a dealer, so it's 12%. So two giveaways, right? There's an MSRP, right? That shouldn't scare you anymore, that word, those words there. So this is what the value is. Moira receives a trade-in. There's that trade-in for $5,000. Calculate the total purchase price of the new vehicle if she pays documentation fees. And that was a bit of controversial add on there. And we just tax it the same as everything else. And I didn't tell you after taxes. So when that happens, you can do both, and as long as you clearly label them both, you get the marks. Okay. So this is a new car. So I will take the 22,998. I will add the documentation fee. This is almost as if you're finding your sticker price. Sticker price is base, options, freight, right? And this is as if you do that, and then as long as you subtract the $5,000, and then you multiply that by 1.12. Okay, so the $5,000 needs to be subtracted before you apply the taxes. And let me just figure that out in there. I just want to lead by example, right? Showing my work. So there's 18,147, and that gets multiplied by 1.12. Some of you went and bought a nice calculator, and I hope that you're noticing the results, right? Like, to have a good calculator makes a big difference. If you can have brackets, right? Some of you like the brackets. I just like to show the brackets, but I don't really use them on my calculator. This just tells me, do all of this first, right? And then multiply it by your taxes. That's just telling me the order of operations, basically. All right, next page. So 2 marks. Oh, you want to know why 2 marks? Well, the down payment, some of you may have taken the 149 out and done taxes and then brought it back in. That's okay, as long as you don't double tax it, right? But this is very important to me, that the down payment is taken off before you apply the taxes to the car. That is important. So 1 mark there and 1 mark for the correct final answer. And obviously that's assuming you did everything correctly. So just real quick, 149 times 1.12, right? Some of you did that on the side. So let me just, right? So you have 166.88. I parked that. And then you take the car, take away the $5,000 times 1.12, right? Times 1.12, and then you add. You should still get the same answer as this, okay? So regardless of how you did it, there you go. And the back side, folks, if it's filled in, partially filled in, you just need to add and subtract. That's all you need to do, okay? So knowing that to get your payment, that is equal to this, right, plus this, right? These two always add up to your payment. Okay, so if this is blank, you just go payment minus the principal to get you this. And you didn't need to show work there. You just subtract these two, you get 35.42. And then here you need to know that, right? This we always subtract here. And you need to have dollar signs, so that's 97.38.52. 1 mark for that row, so half and half, right? So 1 mark for that row. Next, you're given the payment and the interest. subtract these two to get you that. And this actually you should be used to. So this is 262.41. Right? If you subtract these two, you get that. And then this you subtract from that to get you 94.76.11. Remember that the principal brings down the unpaid balance. And of course, if you made a mistake up here, then it will carry through. So I wouldn't mark it wrong again. But anyways, both are half and half. And now's the trickiest of all. Blank, blank. What do I do then? You got to go all the way to the end here. And you know that this went down, right? From here to here, you have to subtract the principal from it, right? So I basically subtract these two to get me that. So I go 94.76.11. Oops. 9. There you go. Thank you. And then 92.1277. So it's 263.34. And I note that my payment, the principal is slowly going up, and that makes sense. And then subtracting these two will get me that and there, and that should be 33.56. So to get the principal, you can do it in two ways: subtract the interest from the payment, or subtract both unpaid balances to get to that. All right, 3 marks there for that. Half, 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 right? Everything half. This was there to show work if you wanted to. Sometimes I ask for it, sometimes I don't. Okay, now, state and explain 2 advantages of leasing. Safer. So if it's not comparing it to anything else, it's not saying versus new, it's just saying what would be an advantage of having a leasing a car. Be safer, right? Latest safety features, right? Since it is new. Okay. So safer, you can say more fuel efficient. You can say that the payments are lower, right? Because why is that? Why is the payment lower? Right? Because you're only financing part of it, not the whole value, right? So you need to say something about that. So if you don't have a decent explanation for why the payments are lower, you only get half a mark. So it's like half for what, like state what it is, and then half for the explanation. So lower payment, right? You only finance part of the value, or you're only paying for, the depreciation plus some profit that the dealer needs to make, but it's not the entire, as opposed to financing, right? So this one was like anything you had for advantage in leasing, you win, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I would say there lower maintenance cost. Why? Because it's most likely under warranty. If you said warranty and then explain new cars are under warranty, I think I would give you that today. But I would say the real advantage is lower maintenance cost. Why? Because it's more under warranty. Yeah. Okay. So these are easy marks actually, right? If you know this, if you have this in your study sheet, easy marks. Amrit works part-time at Tense University as well. Justify why she should buy a used car instead of a new one. You can say cheaper to insure. You don't pay for transportation. If it's a private sale, right? If it's a private sale, you may save 5% on taxes, right? You don't pay for documentation fees. You know what? Like this is actually, now I'm remembering, you put all of that down on the quiz. A lot of you did. So way to go. You were actually using specific examples, not just it's cheaper, right? Why is it cheaper? And that's it. Calculate the interest rate for question 3, that's a bonus. So to get the interest rate, you need to use this formula, right? I is equal to loan times interest rate divided by 100, all of that divided by 12. That is basically the formula you start off with. So when you look at the first row, my interest there is 35.42. So I replace that 35.42. The loan, if you look at the loan here, is 10 grand to begin with. That's your unpaid balance. So I plug that in there. Right now, interest rate, I'm just going to call that X over 100. Right? All of that divided by 12. So this is, you basically fill in what you know from the table, and then you're going to work backwards to figure out that interest rate. Now, this is not necessarily the only way of doing it, but to get rid of the division here, I'm going to multiply both sides by 12. So you multiply, so what you can do when you do that is you can cancel out. And then the other side is 12 times 35.42. That's 425.04 that you're left with. And on the other side, you have 10,000 times X over 100, really. And actually, if you have, you know, a couple zeros in the denominator, denominator and numerator, you can cancel them out. So cancel, 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 right? Trailing zeros can be canceled out one at a time. So you're really left with this. And this is a bonus, okay? So if you're like, what? Right? Then don't worry about it. So you're really left with 100 times X, which is 100X. So then you need to divide both sides by 100. And then you can cancel these two. So X is equal to, you just shift the decimal 2 places, right? That's 4.25%. If you got that, plus 1. Yeah, sorry. What's that? Oh, but you just typed it in wrong? I'll give you half. You somehow came up with it? Any work there? Is there any work there? Or I'll give you half. Because guessing it is pretty hard to just guess. Yeah. No. If you have 4.25, I'll give you the full bonus there. Yeah. So way to go if you got that. Good. All right. So add it all up. Oh, sorry. Instead of the 10,000. So you could have used this whole thing and just based it on the second row, right? Where this is your loan, this is the interest. You should still get the same answer. Yeah, okay, yeah. All right, add it up. It's out of 14. Technically, you can score up to 15, but it's out of 14. So name and last name, and then pass it forward.